the opposite of poof all gone, which is Apple, who usually supports things for a long time and has decent stock when new products come out.
Yeah, usually.
Depending, yeah.
Yeah, so Apple held their September event, and this one was not about the iPhone at all. No iPhones
Not even a
announced.
little mention other than the fact that iOS 14 is official.
Yes. So here's what they did announce. It started with them talking about the Apple Watch Series 6. Now this Apple Watch is visually not that big of a deal, upgrade wise. Like, it doesn't change the design that much. They didn't
Yeah.
extend the screen out or anything. There are new colors, there are new watch bands. They are doing a product red edition, which I really appreciate.
I love to see that, yeah.
Yeah. I feel, are they one of the only ones, like, major companies still doing product red stuff?
I don't see very much of it, so I think
Because, like,
so.
I know Microsoft back in the day, back when they sold like Windows 7 at Best Buy, they had a product red edition.
Windows 7 at Best
It was
Buy.
just like, it was just Windows 7 but with like a red background, but it was just to support Project
Yeah,
Red.
and I don't think we're seeing as much of it, which is disappointing. And I feel like because
Yeah.
companies maybe think red products don't sell as well, but it's like that's not the point. The point is
Yeah.
to try and do a good thing. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad to see it back. I was actually like straight up like vocally excited.
Putting it and putting it in the flagship Apple Watch, not what we'll talk about later of the SE, because normally they've done the product reds in the cheaper or the like previous gen lineup. It's not generally been like the iPhone Pro.
Yeah,
I think
right.
they did it with the iPhone 10R,
Yeah.
but not the actual 10. Or the
Yeah, right. And so it's like, yeah, I'm pretty impressed with them having that as an option here.
Yeah.
And it's especially for like it's an incremental upgrade, and they still
Yeah.
made that change, which is nice. Which actually I guess kind of just adds to the list of things that are different since it's a kind of short list.
Yeah. So the biggest, like the new feature rather than just the upgrade, is that they added a blood oxygen reader. So it can do readings in about 15 seconds. And so, like, if you're hiking and you want to take it, if you are feeling out of breath and you want to take it, it can potentially even be like a warning sign for COVID in some cases. Although in a lot of cases, if your blood oxygen level gets too low to where it would be a concern, you're already having symptoms. But on the off chance you're not having symptoms yet.
And then among other possible health issues that come along.
Yeah,
with
I'm
that,
talking about specifically in the context of COVID. Like,
yeah.
Usually with COVID and the way its symptoms progress, by the time your blood oxygen level is low, there's a problem. However, if you notice it slowly dipping over time from normal readings, that's very helpful information for you to know, oh, maybe I should go to a doctor.
Yeah, and I think it's great, and it's good in general. Like, it's another one of those things where putting something conveniently on your wrist to monitor various things about you, just like the ECG, just like heart rate, just like blood oximeter, and hopefully being able to do blood sugar readings. Like, that's the kind of stuff where it's like most people don't think about it, but you probably should be monitoring that stuff all the time because that gives you a lot of early warning signs of potential health issues.
Yeah, it could, like, and we already have seen, the fall detection save lives, the ECG save lives. This will probably end up saving some lives.
It probably will, yeah. And I think that's one of the goals behind the Apple Watch has been to hopefully, again, it's just that medical, not medical grade in the sense that you'd use it in a doctor's office, but just monitoring those things consistently over time, even if it's got a plus or minus 5% deviation, is still really useful.
Yeah, it is becoming a fantastic just health product.
Yeah.
And in fact, in that regard, one thing I didn't have in the doc, but one thing that they did mention that they are doing now with the Apple Watch, in order to in part expand who can utilize the health aspect of it, is they now have a family setup feature for the Apple Watch.
Oh yeah, that's
so
right.
This is specifically with the cellular models. But what this allows you to do is, let's say you as a parent have a kid, and they're reaching that age where you'd want them to have a phone for emergency situations, but not necessarily like a smartphone. And then they're also very active. They do sports, whatever. Well, now there's a way to buy an Apple Watch, set that up for them, so they have a way to call you, make emergency calls, and do the health tracking.
Yeah,
but
that's a good
without
point.
having an iPhone. And then
And
same thing
something,
for older people if
yeah,
they don't want to
and
have a
it's
smartphone.
also not as expensive as buying a
Yeah,
phone. So
yeah.
I think it's a cool idea, and it was something cool for them to show off. Of course, I still would like it if you could have an Apple Watch, a cellular edition or something, set up completely alone from an iPhone, so that if you're an Android user, you could still use the Apple Watch as a product.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I
that's
agree.
unlikely. I mean, or even just making it so you can set it up as an iPad, because for a while I was in the position of having, I have an iPhone now primarily, but having an Android phone. But Android tablets are garbage, so I have an iPad, but Apple
Hmm.
Watch won't work with iPad, so it'd be cool to see
Yeah,
that.
I do think that Apple is slowly moving things in such a way that I could see them eventually not having um, an iPhone requirement, but I don't think they would do anything to support like Android users being able to like have their apps work very easily with it. For example,
Yeah, I
I
think
think
that's
that you'd
true.
run into a situation where app developers would have to build their Apple Watch app to also have Android support.
Right, and you're just doing a
Um,
Bluetooth pairing basically at that point. It wouldn't be as
it
seamless and stuff.
yeah, but the reason I think that they might move this direction is actually not to get Android users on board. More so, it's for people that don't otherwise actually need a smartphone.
Mm,
Again, going back to looking at the situation of like youth or elderly people who already don't have smartphones. There's a decent period of time where a phone and music device for people that are growing up would be very helpful and a health device, but you might not necessarily want to get them fully on board with a smartphone. And there's not really many good non-smartphones anymore,
that's a good
especially
point.
if you want to do music as well. Whereas if you can have, your Apple Watch have your music streaming and downloads from Apple Music or Spotify or whomever, and then it can be phone calls, it can be fitness tracking, and then you have AirPods for when you want to listen to music. They already can pair with this.
Yeah,
You realistically, with a cellular version of this, once they improve the battery life enough, you don't necessarily need a phone. Right now, making phone calls would tank the battery on this. You wouldn't want to do it for a long time.
yeah,
But if they can get it to where the battery life, I would say with the phone call battery life is as long on an Apple Watch as it is on an iPhone, then I
hmm
think they've reached the point where it would be appropriate to start having people literally only have this as like a semi-normal situation.
yeah. Well, and then you pair that with something like AirPods or something where you're getting
Yeah.
better voice control, better feedback. You
And
could use it as your device.
yeah, if you
So
don't need a camera and if you don't need apps for anything, like
yeah,
it works
yeah, it's true.
and you can make payments with it.
You can do a lot of stuff. And to get back to the changes this time, so they made the screen brighter. The always on screen is significantly brighter, and they're claiming zero loss of battery life from that. So that's really nice for people that work outdoors that like to have the always on display functional. Um,
I should clarify they're saying zero loss in battery life compared to the current Apple Watch.
the Series 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Whereas if you turn off the always on display, you will probably still
Yeah,
get better battery
or
life. It's not
or
like
if
they
you can set
managed to
brightness levels for it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's not like they managed to somehow find a way to have the screen on and not
No,
affect the
yeah,
battery.
yeah, that's a good
That would
point.
be that would be impossible, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be
It's
very
not
nice.
e-ink, they
A
can't do it.
100% efficient screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to color e-ink, man? I missed that. When that was starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
So they did this new solo loop wristband that you can wear as well. That's
Hmm.
like you take a measurement, you print out a piece of paper and cut it out and take a measurement on your hand and or your wrist. And in theory, they have quite a few sizes and it's supposed to fit really well. It's just a solid, flexible band. Like that sounds funny, but I mean like there's no gap, there's no taking it apart. Like it's just a singular
Yeah,
thing.
you just slip it on. It's supposed to be stretchy enough to slip around your hand
But then
when
still
you're
sit
like
tight.
forcing it, but then when you're not forcing it off to the side, it would stay in place on your wrist.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see
Um,
how much people actually like it when we start to see more
yeah.
people get them and how long
And
they
then they
last.
also have a like yarn version of it as well.
I think that one looks really good. I don't like the
Yeah.
rubber one in terms of looks myself,
Yeah.
but
And it's yarn, but it's like silicon threaded.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there is silicon going through it, I think, to help with the
I
elasticity or
honestly have
something. I
been
don't know.
considering potentially picking up one of these for my watch, which is again a nice thing, as this does use the same connection mechanism as the Series 5. So all the bands are
Yeah,
interchangeable, which is nice
yeah.
if you're one of those people that spent like $500 on like a solid titanium band or something like that, like you can still use it if you want the new watch. So I think
Hmm.
that's important.
What do you think of the new leather link band that they have?
Yeah, so I'm actually pulling that up right now. So it's an interesting design. It's an interesting design to say the least, but I'm not sure if it's something that I would want to
Yeah,
buy, you know?
I don't personally like it that much.
Yeah, I mean it's
Like,
a
not just would I not buy it, I just don't really like the look of it that much.
yeah. Yeah, well, so the leather link, yeah, it looks like you're wearing a gear, but it's made out of leather. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
liked their old leather design look better. If they could have somehow integrated the magnet system of the new leather link with their previous like leather loop
Yeah, I think that
design,
would have
I
been a
think
really
that would work
cool.
better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean it's I don't know. Some people might like it, but I think I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not overall a fan of it. Um But I guess I will say this. At least they are sticking to here's more options for something that is a style piece for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal there. And I also will
Hmm.
say that I can appreciate how much time and effort Apple spent on coming up with a really good connection mechanism for these. I have never had watch bands that I don't mind taking in and out and that hold so securely and don't break over time, and little
Hmm.
pins that fall off and shit like that. So like I'm really impressed, and the fact that they came up with a great design and they've stuck with it for a long time is really nice. In fact, let me look at that. I'm just curious here. So yeah, so Apple Watch Series 3 and everything from there beyond fits all the same bands as the except the solo loop. The solo loop only fits Series 4 and newer. All other bands fit Series 3 and newer. That's a pretty long set of compatibility. And I don't know why the solo loop doesn't. It says here the solo loop and braided solo loop bands are only compatible with Apple Watch SE and Apple Watch Series 4 or newer. The 40 millimeter case works with these band sizes, blah, blah, blah. Whereas then it says you can match most bands with any Apple Watch Series 3 or newer case of the same size, as you would imagine. So I don't know why the solo loop is excluded there, because it looks like it's the same connector.
I think it has to do with um a couple of the specific sizing options not
Mm,
working very well with how those watches worked, I guess, or something. It is
hmm.
specifically, from what I'm reading on a Mac Rumors article, um, a couple of sizing options that omit the older watch cases.
Huh.
And so Apple is just saying they are all only compatible to make it simple.
Yeah. But I guess it still goes back to the point I was making of I do appreciate that. I mean, you're looking at watches that came out years ago and you can use the same
Yeah,
bands for it. And they
because
keep coming out with new band styles.
there's 18 different sizing options for the solo loop.
Yeah, so that would, I guess that makes sense then.
So and there's
I'd like to
like
see somebody try it just to see what it's
yeah.
like. See if maybe the connector works and it just something else is weird about it, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's interesting though, and I really do like to see this. This is something that no other watch company
Yeah.
is really getting
And it
right now for smartwatches.
Yeah, and it should also be noted, so the like some of the sizes only fit on some of the so like the 40 millimeter watch will work with the size 1 through 9,
Mm-hmm.
and the 44 works with sizes 4 through 12. So 4 through 9 work on both, but 1, 2, 3, and 10, 11, 12 are specific to watches. So presumably it's something to do with how wide this part is my guess as to why some of them won't work on the older one,
No,
because
that does
the
make
the older one
sense.
is a little bit different
Yeah,
physically.
right. That makes sense. Even
So
then though, I mean, they're still selling the Series 3 too, which is nice.
yeah,
If you want to get something just cheap, you want a smartwatch, it's
yeah.
an
So
amazing
the
option.
Series 6 is what, $400? right? $399 for the Wi-Fi edition.
I believe that's correct. Yeah, or it might be 450. Let me double check here while we're
I
doing
think it's
this.
$399 for the 40 millimeter, and then
Yeah, I
450
think I
for
think you're
the.
right there. I'm waiting for Apple's site because it's nice and slow. Uh, so it looks like it's
Yeah, it's $399.
$399. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
And then you have the Apple Watch Series 3 that is still for sale for $299, and then you have the new one, which we'll talk about in a bit, for $279. So they have like a pretty good price range.
They do, yeah, yeah. And I mean, the Series 3
Um,
is cheap enough and still very capable, which is another thing that I appreciate.
yeah. There's one last thing with the Series 6 that they announced. So they started talking about how, as they do at every event, they started talking about their products and the environment. And they talked about how, like, the packaging of the Series 6 watch is made from either, like, 100% of it is either recycled material or taken from um, like very specific forests that were chosen because of how they treat the environment and stuff like that.
Right.
So they're being very specifically careful about that. But then they started talking about how, like, their facilities are changing to reduce carbon emissions, and how they are, on top of their own facilities changing things, they are funding other companies' facilities, and in ways to reduce carbon emissions. And then they started talking about another thing that they're doing to reduce emissions and waste. And that is, and obviously money is another reason they're doing this. But what they announced was that there is no USB adapter included in the Series 6 Apple Watch.
Yeah, which we kind of, in some ways, expected, I suppose. I mean, we knew they were heading in this direction one way or another.
I honestly forgot the Apple Watch even came with a USB adapter.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it comes with a wall wart, but I don't use mine. A lot
Yeah.
of people aren't going to use theirs. So
Yeah.
I think it's fine. The one thing that I think is really important as we move away from wall adapters being included in phones is A, making it extremely obvious that it doesn't come with one, and B, stores that you can buy them at need to really seriously keep more stock of them. Because it
Yeah.
would suck to want to buy a phone and you don't have a charger for it because they don't have any there, you know?
Yeah. To your first point, I really appreciate Apple making it a point to say this. This was not a mention or a note in a slide. This was not something that we found out on their website after. They straight up said they are not doing this as a part of their presentation.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
which
is
like
how they
makes it
should
really
do it if you're going
obvious.
to make that type of change.
You don't do it on the back end. Yeah, you
Yeah.
explain why and you tell everybody. You're really loud about
It's
it.
it's like how Apple said they were removing the headphone jack from phones and did it, whereas Android phone makers made fun of Apple for doing it and then silently did it the next year.
Yeah, yeah. Now I still miss headphone jack. I'm gonna say that I miss Jack. He was a nice Jack, but I will not miss wall warts. I have a drawer full of them because I don't want to throw them away. And they do come in handy once in a while, but it gets annoying having as many as I do. As long as it
Yeah.
still comes with the cable, like fine.
The one thing I think that Apple should do
Mm-hmm.
in the scenarios where they're removing this is, if you're ordering it from them at least, because obviously they can't control every company's stock, they should give you the choice of which charging cable it comes with.
Agree.
Because
Yes.
not a lot of people have USB-C wall warts.
And that's everything. Everything's coming with that.
Yeah.
A lot
And
like my
so,
AirPods came with that, and I was
mhm,
surprised. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, they're doing that now. Like USB-C, all the things, please, but also my like 15 ports of USB power that I have mounted to my nightstand are USB-A.
yeah, because the best argument they have for why they should do this also comes at a time when it's the worst time to do this. If they would have done this 5 years ago,
Nobody
not
care.
everyone would have had the USB outlets. If
Yeah,
they were to do it now, the issue is that, yeah, a lot of people have USB outlets, but it's USB-A.
yeah. So 2 years, 3 years ago would have been a better sweet spot.
Yeah, I think
But
so. But yeah,
interesting.
I mean, I think especially for the Apple Watch, where when you're ordering it, you already pick the watch and then the band, and they come in separate packages
Just give you that option for
with the
the
cable.
cable. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great idea, and that was something I was thinking of too. Or the other option would be to include a cable that has a built-in adapter, like some of them do, which if you can do it right, aren't annoying. You know, where you have a USB-C to A adapter on the end that's removable.
Or just offer a checkbox that's include adapter at no additional cost.
Yeah, yeah. Just as long as people aren't having to pay for it. That's the annoying part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now for the next thing they announced was another Apple Watch. Yeah. So this one is $279 starting price. This is the Apple Watch SE.
Which we all expected, right? Like this was a rumor I think you and I have even talked about.
Yeah. What's really cool about this, so it's essentially the chip from the Apple Watch Series 5 in the body of the Apple Watch Series 4 for $279.
And that's
it's got some
insane.
downsides. It's got some downsides compared to, say, the Apple Watch Series 5. It doesn't have always on display.
Which for some people is a huge deal because, you know, if your watch is a style piece, like, because people can make the logic argument of, well, you're not going to look at your watch if you're not looking at your watch, right? Like you're not, you know, right? But it's a style thing for a lot of people. And being able to do a custom watch face that looks nice when you are, you know, it's just something that people care about. And so I want to put that in. Yeah, some people. So I want to say in there that for some people that is a big deal. You know,
but also, like, so is $120, and so it's like for some people, if you don't care about the health aspect of the Apple Watch, and you're mostly buying it for, say, the notifications, music when you're running, that type of thing, then it really comes down to, like, is that feature worth it for a lot of people? Probably not. It's a nice to have. It's not always a need to have.
No, it's true. Yeah. I was just pointing out that people care about it. Like, I'm not the type of person, like, I wouldn't not buy something because it doesn't have an always on display, but I definitely do have a preference towards it. But if I was looking to save $120, I'd be okay with letting it go. But then it's also... You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it doesn't have the ECG.
Yeah. Which is... You know, I don't know. I don't use my ECG sensor on mine all the time. But it is, you know, it is an omission that does matter. It does still have the same heart rate sensor though. So I want to emphasize if what you care about is heart rate, like you're good to go.
Yeah. And I do like the option of, like, if you look at it, you know, you can kind of look at it in this way, is like the Apple Watch SE is like the fitness device, whereas the Series 6 is the health device.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, and then the Series 3 is the notifications.
Is more of an activity tracker. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. And you know, obviously, it's still going to do fine with everything else. You know, in general, and it does have a cellular option, which is really important to a lot of people. So I'm glad that it has that. And again, the same heart rate sensor, not a weaker or less accurate heart rate sensor, which you'd expect because why make more than one? But still.
Yeah. So yeah, overall pretty good product. Good price. You can get a cellular option if you want. Just great. The next thing they announced was a refresh of their 8th generation iPad.
We're kind of seeing like trend here of budget oriented products and you know, like lower end, like cheaper products, right? And like with the iPhone SE, it was a fantastic phone, right? For the price. But what I'll say is, as we get into this a little more, like seeing that with the Apple Watch and the iPad impresses me personally because, like, they're not generally the target audience for me. But to see that in a market where they don't really have any competition and they're still trying to make a cheaper version for everybody to afford is interesting. To see that with something like an iPad, where Android tablets are garbage, like you just shouldn't buy one.
Android tablets are garbage. Android smartwatches are garbage.
Yeah, the only competition they have in smartwatches is from Samsung. Or I guess kind of Garmin if you're really into hiking and stuff.
Yeah. What's also really nice is you can get an iPhone SE, an Apple Watch SE, not even the cheapest Apple Watch, but the SE, and the brand new 8th gen iPad for $8 more than an iPhone 11 Pro.
Yeah, that's a lot of device. A lot of good device for that price.
If you're just making the switch over to Apple, or if you are getting your kid a smartphone and his tablet for school, and you want to get him a watch, like being able to do that for the same price that a couple of years ago you would have paid for just the top end iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
or just the iPhone before the 10R,
Yeah, yeah.
before they because it was previously they were selling multiple year old ones as their cheap phones
Mm-hmm.
rather than having a new one.
Which is
Overall,
usually
just
like based on an older design and just different internals, which I appreciate.
yeah,
Like the iPhone SE, where it's like here's a it's an older iPhone body, so they can recycle things, keep the same design,
mhm,
same templates, same machinery, but then up the specs to something better.
yeah. So yeah, the big upgrade with the new iPad is that it moves from the, what was it, like A10, I think it has. I don't think it had an A11, right?
I don't think so. No,
But it moves up to the A12 chip, the A12 Bionic, which is a good chip.
it's a very
Um,
good chip.
and I mean, that's really the big upgrade for this
It's
one. It
it's the
wasn't a
biggest one.
huge change, but it's a cheap system, or a cheap iPad. And if you,
They had the A10 in the seventh gen.
okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're getting 2 years worth of chip upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other nice thing with this is, um, what was I gonna say? Wow, I
A lot of
blanked.
things.
Yeah. Oh,
It's the smoke. Blame it on their
since it
smoke.
supports, yeah, since it supports Apple Pencil, you get iOS 14 and you get the Apple Pencil. And this supports the cheaper iPad or Apple Pencil because it's still Lightning.
Right, right, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So that also helps save money there, which is actually cool.
yeah. So if you want the new iPad and the Apple Pencil, um, it would all in all be like $429. Oh, the thing that I was gonna say also though, if you have an education account, so if you are like freshman in college and you have a .edu email, you can get $30 off of this as well.
Oh, that's actually a significant chunk when you're talking about this pricing. So
Yeah, it's almost 10% off.
yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a valid upgrade. I'm glad to see something in the budget area that's like that, but I'm actually more excited for this next one, which is the new iPad Air.
Also known as the iPad Pro Lite.
Yeah, yeah, which is
I think
like
that's a good description of it.
it's a very good description of it. And so, you take an iPad Pro with the new, sharper edges. I say new; it's been around for several years, but the sharper edges, and the pretty big bezels, but smaller bezels. The newer style, and it is actually in the same sizing as like pretty much the same case and tooling as the standard size, the smaller iPad Pro, which is an 11-inch, right? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And so this is 10.9 inches. They had to make it just a little smaller. And it's a budget, as the iPad Air has been, a budget of the nicer one. It's like in that middle ground, right? It fits in the Magic Keyboard. Yes, it fits in the Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro 11-inch. So no, you do not, like, they're not having to make a new one. And they're not, they're not fucking over people that are potentially using one already, although you probably have an iPad Pro at that point, but still, it makes sense. Now, no Face ID. That's a big money saver for them. It has one camera. It does have a Retina display, as they call it, with True Tone, which I was surprised to see True Tone on it. I don't know if you were, but
No, not at
no,
all.
not you don't think so for that price. And it's running
It's
the
a They already would have still, even with getting rid of um the Face ID, they still have some sensors on the front. Throwing in that one, and to have a consistent product stack, and then True Tone is actually like a very well liked feature among like artists and stuff. Like people that are used to like drawing on paper, for example,
Mhm.
expect that color shift, and so they like that on that device.
Well, I think it's great for mobile devices too. I don't personally like it for laptops. Iffy on, definitely not like desktop monitors. But of course you can turn it off, so whatever. But I think it's great on a mobile device, and even if you're not an artist, I really do like the True Tone displays for.
Oh yeah, so do
Yeah,
I. I've
it's
ever
so
since
much
I
better on my
first
eyes. Like it just is.
Yeah, ever since I first got a device with it, like it's one of those things where like you don't necessarily notice it at first because it is natural. Like
Yeah,
that is
you're
the
supposed to
point.
not notice it. Yeah.
But then when you go to a device that doesn't have it, you're like, "Oh God, I hate this."
Dude, so
That was so much better.
I had to test some stuff on my OnePlus 7T today, which I still feel like is still definitely one of the best Android phones out there, the McLaren edition specifically. And like I was like, oh man, I remember why I switched and why I don't like Android. There's just so many
Yeah.
things where it's just clunky. There's no true tone display. The display is fantastic on it. It's brighter and sharper,
Mhm.
but it's not as color accurate as the display on the iPhone.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool.
We'll talk more at the end of this about some stuff because iOS 14 dropped, so we'll have some stuff to
Yeah.
add about that.
Yes.
Um, the other stuff with the iPad Air though, so the A14 Bionic is something I really wanted to touch on in that it is a lot of people are saying like there's no reason to buy the iPad Pro when the iPad Air is going to have a newer chip. And it's so similar in so many other ways. Um, until we get benchmarks, it's hard to know for sure because this is, them switching over to 5 nanometer. So obviously, cores aren't necessarily going to be the same performance and all that. But like, people forget how much of a monster of a chip the A12Z that is in the current iPad Pros is.
Which I think is important to emphasize that Z for the Apple is not like, oh, it's an incremental upgrade. It's a
Yeah,
huge difference from the regular
yeah.
A12.
So the A12 was a 4-core CPU, 4-core GPU chip. It was too big, too little for the CPU cores, and then the 4 GPU cores. The A12X, which was found in the previous generation iPad Pro, was 8-core CPU, 7-core GPU. It was actually an 8-core, but because of yields, one was turned off.
Mm-hmm.
And then the A12Z is essentially the ultimate version of that chip. And that
Yeah.
is the 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU chip with 4 big, 4 little CPU cores, and then the 8 GPU cores.
Yeah. So
So
it's
it is a
probably still going to be significantly faster. Probably.
yeah. There is a reason that Apple put the A12Z in the transition kit for developers.
Yeah. For the Mac Mini
Let's just say
transition
that.
kit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. So I think people worrying about it, it's like, and also saying there's no reason to buy the iPad Pro. It's like, if you want a big screen, which if you're doing a lot of work, that you might want the bigger
120
screen.
hertz is not on the
And
Air.
yeah. Plus, the screen's probably
Face
just
ID.
better from the Pro. Like, it's probably brighter. I don't think we know the resolution exactly yet, but it's probably better. I'll see if I can find it. I've actually got the spec page open. Yeah, so it is same PPI because it's Retina, so they follow Retina. But still, it's it's not as bright. Yeah, it doesn't. It goes. The one on the Pro goes up to 600 nits. This one's 500, and that 100 nits when you're talking in that range is pretty significant. And then no ProMotion, like I said, no 120 hertz. So there is still reasons to get the iPad Pro, just to be clear.
Yeah.
And then we also had the Apple Pencil mount that it does have on it with wireless charging for the second gen Apple Pencil.
Yes, which is great. I really like being able to charge it and not have it sticking out of the port.
That was such a weird
Um,
way of doing things.
I understand why they don't. I still really hope to see Apple eventually include another Apple or pencil charger on the left side for people that are left-handed.
Yeah, that would be. Well, wait, an Apple Pencil charger. Wait, you
So
said because when you're holding it in portrait. Sorry,
yes,
my
so
my
like
iPad's in landscape
I'm
100% of the
I'm
time.
left-handed, so I have to reach over, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal, but it just
It'd be nice.
compared to right-handed users where they pick it up and
Yeah.
use it just
It's
more
just
naturally.
having to have that wireless charging on there is also they have
Oh,
to
I
fit
know.
that
I know
in
they're
there.
not going to do
Yeah.
it. I completely understand why. I just
It'd
will
be
still
nice.
I still will wish that they do it.
Just use your iPad in landscape mode instead of portrait. Come on.
I can just use it upside down actually.
Oh yeah, that's also true. Yeah, because they don't
And in
like it
fact,
doesn't matter anymore.
can I portrait lock it upside down?
Probably,
might-
yeah. And then Face ID works fine upside down still, so whatever.
Hang on. Let's see if I can.
So I did say it was Magic Keyboard compatible.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I can portrait lock it upside down. Why didn't I ever think of that before?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry about it, Apple. We're good.
So let's see, and it's made out of 100% recycled aluminum. And then what's this in here about the Apple
Oh,
Watch? Or was that put in by one of us by mistake?
that was put in the wrong spot.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, 100% recycled aluminum, which is really nice to see too. I'm glad to see that. And that's pretty much it for the new iPad Air. I don't think we actually said the price though, so I should probably mention that.
$599.
Yeah, which is not bad. Now, I do want to mention one thing because I'm considering buying this for somebody. It's only 64 gigs of storage. If you want the 256, you have to jump another $150 up. So they are charging quite a bit.
150 jump? Damn.
Yeah, they're charging quite a bit for that extra storage, actually. Yeah, it's 750 for the 256 gig and 600 for the 64 gig. And then I think they're also charging, let me see here. Yeah, so
It's
if you want the
130
cellular
increase for
model,
cellular,
yeah,
which is normal.
130, yeah, so that's normal, but I feel like you should get a discount if you buy the 256 with cellular, because that's
I feel like they should just
$879.
make. I feel like they should just make the 256 a $100 jump.
Yeah, that would be better. So that's something I wanted to note too, because 64 is kind of like if there was a 128 model, that's
I mean,
a
I have
little
a
more
64 on my Pro.
Oh, really? Oh,
I got the base model.
oh, my Pro's a base model, but the base model isn't a 256 for the bigger Pro then? That must be what it was.
No, I don't know. I thought mine was 64.
No, they start at
Let's check.
128. Both iPad Pros start at 128. I'm looking right now.
Okay.
But I think I have
never mind.
256 on mine. I think I want to
I'm
step up
pretty
just
sure
in
you
case.
did,
But
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's 128. Okay, I was
Yeah.
wrong.
But then, like, if we're looking at the iPad Pro 11-inch, really quick pricing on that, like, that's $800 for the 11-inch. And then you want 256 gigs, it's only a $100 jump, but that's still $900 versus the, $750 that you're paying for the Air.
Yeah, however, that then it does make an interesting thing of if you look at it at, is the iPad Air, obviously if your budget is sub $800, you're going to look at the Air. But if it's not a budget concern and it's just are those features worth the price concern, someone might look at $200 as a price difference and say, no, 200 isn't necessarily worth it, but maybe if you're going to get the 256 gig, for some people 150 might be like at the edge of what is worth it for those extra features.
Yeah, I mean, better camera, full LiDAR, nicer screen, it's a ProMotion display, and a better assumedly better processor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you can also just wait until, later this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Or early next year, I mean, for the next Pro. Probably next year.
Yeah. So now we're going to kind of jump into services from Apple because that's been a bigger and bigger thing for them.
Yeah, so they had two big service announcements. The first one was a new subscription service, a new product, Fitness Plus. This is a new fitness program. So there's a number of these different subscription services. Peloton has one. Peloton stock actually dropped quite a bit after this was announced.
Not surprised.
But there's a number of different apps on the App Store that are, you pay to have world-renowned trainers do video lessons, essentially, not in real time, but pre-recorded lessons from big name people.
$10 a month for real chat with people. That'd be kind of crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, it's $10 a month though, or $80 per year. You get workout classes by a bunch of top trainers. I was reading something online where somebody realized that one of the people in the images that Apple uses for the Fitness Plus advertising was a pretty well-known trainer from San Francisco who moved and left her business and nobody knew why.
Oh, interesting.
And it was because Apple offered her probably a very significant amount of money to become a trainer.
Can I just interrupt here and say that $9.90, so $10 a month or $80 a year is a more significant discount than you usually see on products. That's $120 a year versus $80 a year. That's a $40 price difference if you pay yearly.
Did you see the image I sent you, by the way, earlier today? There was a service that I was looking at. It is a workout app that has it's for tracking weight training and stuff.
The Bolt Pro?
Yeah, look at the pricing.
What? $90 a year or $2 a month?
Yeah. I was so confused. I uninstalled and reinstalled the app to make sure it wasn't corrupted when I downloaded it.
And the fine print says it too. What?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
I wonder how many people they have like tricked into getting
Like
the
debated,
annual version.
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
What? $24 a year versus 90.
You pay more than 3
What?
times as much if you do the annual
If you
subscription.
dedicate yourself for a year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They're like, you know what? You're willing to spend this money if you really
Yeah.
want to work out. No.
But yeah, so $10 a month or $80 per year for Fitness Plus. There's going to be new workouts weekly. It's very Apple Watch focused, both in being able to start workouts and stuff. Obviously, you'll be able to play the videos back on your iPad, your iPhone, your Apple TV, whatever
Yeah.
Apple product.
But it uses
But
the
there
watch.
will be workouts that, like, if you don't need the video classes for it, like tracking and doing some of the workout routines that are preset in there, you'll be able to do from there. So if you already know the movements, you don't need to watch the video.
And then if
But
you
you'll be able
are
to get
watching the video, the Apple Watch is used to track your movements and stuff, I assume, to
Correct.
kind of line up
Yeah.
with it. Yeah, okay.
And then also, this will, like, obviously have Apple Music integration. And so, like, when you are, when you're doing workouts,
Mhm.
the workouts will have, like, each workout will have, like, its own music choices, but they'll have a variety of genres that they pick music for. So, like, if they listed off, like, if you like country or trap or rock or whatever, they'll have different playlists for each workout
I like that.
for those. And then you can save those to your Apple Music pretty easily. So if you really like the playlist, or if you want to use that for a workout again, you can, like, one click save it.
I'm definitely going to try this out, see what it's like. It seems very interesting. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to give it a shot. And
Yeah, and then if you buy an Apple Watch, you get 3 months of it for free. And if you already own an Apple Watch, but you happen to be a Best Buy Rewards member, Best Buy is giving 2 months away for free.
now let's be clear. Do you have to have bought that Apple Watch from Best Buy? Do we know?
No.
Wow.
You just have to be a rewards member and have an Apple Watch so that you can redeem it.
That's cool. That's actually
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
like a-
Huh.
Yeah.
Little promotion from them. That's nice.
Yeah.
I think that's important too with a kind of new, there are fitness services, but this is one of the first like really massive ones, and I think giving people trials so they can see what it's like, because a lot of people probably haven't used other fitness services, is
That,
important.
and it's one of the first ones not from a dedicated fitness company. If you see fitness from Apple versus fitness from a gym, or fitness from, like, Chris Hemsworth starting up an app,
Yeah.
like, that's obviously a little bit different of a scenario, and you might have different feelings about it than big tech company that normally makes hardware launches fitness app.
Yeah. But their other
So the
services have been pretty good.
Yeah, but I feel like, a music service is quite a bit different,
Yeah, like digital
as far as whether
content.
or not it will be quality
Mhm.
than a fitness service. And so that's where I think, like you were saying, having the trial is really helpful, because people that are on other services might
Can
be
give it a
hesitant
shot.
for Fitness Plus, but if it's free to try it for a couple months and it's going to be quality because it's been quality for a few months, that's different.
Yeah, and then especially with the pricing of potentially saving you money versus whatever you're using existingly, like if you're paying for this Pro plan for Bolt Pro.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
It does not compute.
Yeah.
But services,
and then
man.
if you want to talk about pricing, Apple One. Real quick, I just love that they're marketing this. They called it Apple One. They mentioned having one subscription service, but there's 3 tiers.
Yeah, so that's true. It's not really one, but I mean, I get the branding, and I've been going to this page every day to see what's available. So it says coming this fall, and I'm like, it's September 17th. Like,
yeah,
come on.
So here's what this deal is. So tier 1 is the individual option. This is so individual and family are their, like, entertainment subscription packages, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's the Premier one. So individual is Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, and Apple Arcade, as well as 50 gigs of iCloud storage for $15 a month for you.
Mm-hmm.
The family plan is the same thing, but bumped up to 200 gigabytes of iCloud storage.
Is that per user or total?
I'm pretty sure it's shared.
Okay. Okay. I would assume so. Because if that was
Um,
per user, $5 extra to get 5 other people, that'd be kind of crazy.
yeah. So 200 gigs of storage, and it works with 5 other people, so a total of 6.
200 gigs is plenty to back up most people's phones though and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point. But
Yeah.
Premiere is the one I'm excited for.
Oh yeah. So $30 a month, you get music, TV, arcade, news, fitness,
TV Plus and
and
News Plus, right? It's the Plus version of everything, correct?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just talking essentially about you get their paid subscriptions for all of these, and 2 terabytes of cloud storage, and it works with up to 6 people.
Of
5
course, if you get
additionals
it
plus you.
yourself, then you get 2 terabytes of storage.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to factor in here that like yes, like Google Drive and stuff, their pricing has gone down, and you can get like 2 terabytes for like $5 a month now. I think it is, but this is still such an incredible price.
Yeah.
For
I mean,
what
you
you
can
get.
get 2 terabytes of storage from Apple for, I think it's $10 a month.
Yeah, so it's $10 a month from Google Drive. So I bet you it's $10 a month. But then you think about
Yeah.
$20 a month then paying for you get music, TV Plus, arcade, which comes with quite a few games, News Plus and Fitness Plus. That's a lot. Plus the fact that that's for a total of 5 people.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty impressive. And I think that's also important is like so like a lot of music services don't really work on the Apple Watch as a standalone thing right now, and that's their own fault, not Apple's fault. But
Yeah. It was Apple's fault until like a year ago.
and nobody's done anything, which is just weird.
Pandora's done stuff. Spotify, I've gotten the test a while ago. Some people are just now getting it that are on the live build, but you can now stream to the Apple Watch, but there is no
mm,
way to offline music.
yeah, that's frustrating. And then even then,
Yeah.
like with like Tidal and stuff, I can't stream to it, and that's a little frustrating. It's just like if I'm far enough away from my iPhone. I mean, I guess if I have Wi-Fi, but like if you're the type of person that goes to the gym and you put your phone in the locker and just wear your watch, like that can kind of be a pain to not be able to have offline music.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Especially when like the APIs are there. It's been
Mhm.
over a year since the APIs have been released.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't put in the work to do this.
Yeah, and so like my point was like I won't subscribe to Apple Music as a standalone service because the amount that I need it on my Apple Watch is not enough to justify me spending the money on it. But if it comes with all this other stuff, it's just a benefit where I can have that as my dedicated music player on my watch.
Yeah. That's exactly how I'm going to use it as well because like I'm not going to cancel my Spotify subscription. I've gotten way too good of a deal. I pay $10 a month and I get Spotify and Hulu.
It's insane.
And then for me, the big thing with Spotify that's made it hard to switch is I use Spotify on a lot of different devices. My PlayStation 4, my watch, my phone, my iPad, my computer. And I do switch devices, like the device that I'm actively using quite a bit.
Hmm.
And Spotify, for some reason, no one else has done this, but Spotify has the ability for any device to play back audio on any, or like to change which device is active. Like I can start from my phone playing music on my computer, or I can play music on my PS4 and then change the song for my watch.
Yeah, and we need more people to be doing that, like more companies. That's something that I
Yeah.
miss too. Spotify has a lot of features now. Being an audiophile, of course, like I stick with Tidal. It doesn't matter. Like it's not enough of a benefit to me to have all these extra features, and like sometimes Tidal like bugs out and doesn't keep playing, and I have to restart the app and stuff. But the quality's worth it to me. But if they want that service to become more popular, one of the things they need to do is have better integration.
Yeah.
So which Apple Music's pretty good about, I think, right? I mean, not as good as Spotify, but
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have anything like that, but obviously it has offline music on your watch and
mhm.
integration with other services and stuff. So
Yeah, so that's nice.
yeah. And yeah, so just overall really good. You do get a month free if you already have had other services. Like let's say you currently have Apple Music, or in my case, I currently have TV Plus because I bought an iPad and you get a year for free. Um, and I have News Plus because I got a subscription elsewhere at a special deal. So the way that the trial works is that it's for any services you haven't already tried. So if I
Mm.
sign up for the trial, for example, I have had music in the past, but I have not had arcade and I have not had fitness. So I would just get a trial of those
Okay, that makes sense.
because I've already used my trial of the other services.
No, that's a sensible way to do it. I mean, because they
Yeah.
lose quite a bit of money on trials for stuff like this.
Yeah.
So that makes logical sense. And then we got an update, didn't we?
Yeah, iOS 14, iPadOS 14, watchOS 7, and tvOS 7 are released. They were released
tvOS
yesterday.
14.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
No, you're good. So
They
they
were
gave
released
developers
yesterday.
a lot of warning about this, right?
Developers are pissed off at Apple for that. Um,
Oh man.
yeah, they gave them a day's notice, and it took like maybe an hour or two after this announcement for them to even drop the final build of Xcode. So they had
Yeah,
like the final code base and the final release, and they had 24 hours to get their updates out.
bro, the amount of overnight developers just pulled for
Mm-hmm.
Apple is crazy. And
I
even then,
saw
like,
the developer of Apollo was tweeting. He was like, he was actually kind of excited because he hasn't done like an all-nighter for development in a long time. But he was like understanding like that it's not like a good situation.
yeah, yeah.
And he said he got like 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, no, that's what happens with this, and like usually they give like a week notice at least, you know. So
Yeah,
it's a little weird, and I don't know. I feel like there's probably a mistake, a miscommunication, something that triggered that, because that's not how.
I don't think it could have been a miscommunication. I think it was just Apple wanting to surprise drop it
Oh,
to
maybe
consumers.
that could be, but it still sucks for some developers, and there are some apps that are like broken and stuff that aren't working completely because of it.
Yeah, not many, but there are some.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I actually know of one. I'm not going to get into it, but I know of one app that is having issues
Yeah.
because of it. Which it's fine to have issues when I was on the beta, but
Yeah.
so
Oh, speaking of beta,
yeah,
if you're on the developer channel or if you want to get onto the developer channel, the 14.2 beta has dropped. Right now, the updates seem pretty minimal. For example, like one of the things they added was you can now add a toggle for Shazam in your control center.
that's release noteworthy.
Yeah. So like that type of thing, it's a few small things here and there and probably some bug fixes. Although interestingly enough, and I think this is probably because it's coming a day after the final release.
Mhm.
And so 2 days after the beta, or not beta, but the GM build of the final release got put out,
Mhm.
it doesn't fix one of the big issues with iOS 14, where your defaults that you can set are resetting every time you reboot.
Yeah, so hopefully that gets fixed soon because that was one of the features that I'm most excited about, and it's not
Yeah,
hard to change it, but still.
I don't think anybody had mentioned this issue at all before the GM build. And so my guess is it's something that broke in the GM build.
Yeah, so which probably points to a quick fix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you do want to download the 14.2 beta, go to betaprofiles.com and you can get the dev profile
Yes.
without paying.
Yep. Just do it. Boom.
So
So I think that concludes everything we have about Apple. Kind of amazing. No iPhone announcement, and it was that long.
yeah, iPhone will. There's some reasons to believe that there could be an event in like September, like 21st to 30th range, because in the event multiple times they like teased like one of two dates in September.
Oh, that'd be
So
interesting then. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, if they can just delay it enough so that it doesn't seem like, well, Apple likes to try and release things at the event, but I don't think they're going to with the iPhone this time. I don't think it's going to be available for order at the event.
I think it'll be available for order. I don't think it'll ship for a couple weeks.
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's what I mean. Whereas
Yeah.
like the Apple Watch Series 6, like if you ordered it yesterday, like you'll probably have it on like Monday. or
No,
Saturday.
you
even.
should have it tomorrow. They said. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
that's right. No,
Or
I
was
think
it? Was
I
it?
think mine. I did some customizations that made it so it was 2 to 4 days instead of 2 days.
Yeah.
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 But that's like, so they had a lot, and like the thing is, like I hate it when stuff, we were talking about the Nvidia launch, you know, being so out of stock. Like if you go to the Apple Watch Series 6 now, I bet you they still have some in stock.
Probably.
Like they're pretty good about that. I mean, the iPhone always sells so quick, but yeah, it's still like, just go buy it and you can get it. Boom. There's not a big delay. So kudos to that. I appreciate it when companies do that.
Yeah.